So, at the time of recording this, which would make it yesterday when I saw Black Widow, usually seeing a brand new Marvel movie would probably be the highlight of my day. Yesterday was also the same day when England beat Denmark to reach the finals of the Euros, and I'm sorry, Marvel, but not even you can stand in the way of football coming home.
Lived a lot of lives, but I'm done running from my past.
I know you're out there.
I know you know I'm out here. So we're gonna talk like grown-ups?
Is that what we are?
Guys, welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, well, after what seemed like never-ending delays, maybe this film wasn't even going to come out, we finally hit the long-awaited adventure of one of the longest-serving members in the Avengers themselves, Black Widow. Set in the backdrop of the events of Civil War, Natasha Romanoff is on the run, only for her to uncover that the once-thought destroyed Soviet Black Widow program is active, and her former sister, Yelena Belova, is in need of her help. Therefore, Natasha is forced to confront her past to ensure her future and the future of many more can be saved. Right, let's get the obvious thing out of the way. I just loved seeing a Marvel movie back on the big screen. It is just that added sprinkle of normality that we're basically now within touching distance of. A big, giant blockbuster in a busy screen, still adhering to social distancing guidelines, of course. There's just no better experience. But anyway, the film itself, it's class. It's another very strong outing from Marvel and will definitely appease fans who have been waiting over a year for this film to be released, and even longer, because a Black Widow film, in the eyes of many, myself included, is long overdue, and I'm happy to say that all that waiting, it's worth it. I do have one or two negatives, which I'll get out of the way first. The first isn't necessarily to do with the quality of the film itself, it's just its placement within this cinematic universe. Spoilers for Endgame, but honestly, at this point, it's your own fault. Obviously, Natasha sacrifices herself so the team can gain the Soul Stone on Vormir, and whilst it's a very emotional end to her character, in comparison to a lot of the other moments in that film, it didn't quite hit as hard. And whilst filling in some gaps and a little bit of a backtrack never hurt anyone, I do feel like putting this film after Endgame, because we know where her character is going to end up, it did feel a bit odd, because it does provide a pin and closure for Natasha, but there are points in the film where her life hangs in the balance, but you know the result because it's got to stick to canon. My only other kind of main critique is, yet again, the villain. Taskmaster is a very intimidating physical presence. When it comes to the action scenes, they throw down. But in terms of an actual character, there is very little to them. Very little to connect to understand. I thought that they could have done a much more interesting job with expanding upon that character. You've also got Ray Winstone in there as some Soviet douchebag who's kind of pulling the strings, and he's fine, but it's a pretty wishy-washy role. So with those out of the way, on the whole, Black Widow was a real success. Director Cate Shortland was clearly influenced by the work of Joe and Anthony Russo within this cinematic universe from their work on The Winter Soldier and Civil War, especially in the way that they shoot their action. This film takes on that approach of being a very grounded, or as grounded as a film can be within the MCU, with psychological thriller stakes, espionage thrown in there too. We're not going on cosmic galactical battles in the corners of the universe. It also packs in some of the most brutal action within the MCU. Bones are breaking, crunching. There's a brief altercation between Natasha and Yelena where they are just beating the seven bells of shit out of each other. And that same brutality kind of weaves its way into the story's themes too. Black Widow doesn't pull any punches when it comes to discussing the horrors and torture that Natasha and Yelena suffered when they were children. And that theme of women being abused and their free will taken from them isn't featured merely coincidentally. So, we've gathered that Black Widow nails the action, it isn't afraid to go a little darker than most Marvel movies, but I think what makes it work the most, or as well as it does, is how character-driven this film actually is. Natasha's life and ethos as a hero is etched out very clearly, which kind of adds a little somber note to the end of her arc in Endgame. And once again, Scarlett Johansson just crushes it here. She knows this character inside out at this point, so that was never in any doubt. But the way she works with Shortland to construct a fitting send-off is immensely satisfying. But fear not, because whilst Johansson may be saying farewell to the MCU, Florence Pugh comes into this film with a flurry of fireworks behind her. Yelena is such a brilliant character that is given a pedestal to stand on and really shine. Her fractured relationship with Natasha is compelling, and her reasoning for embarking on this mission only adds to the weight of her story and many others too. Seriously, Marvel better strap a rocket to Florence Pugh because she is going to do wonders. David Harbour was great as the Red Guardian, who is the Soviet Union's answer to Captain America, except over time, he's got a little bit out of shape. He's predominantly the comic relief, and Harbour, of course, excels, although it would have been cool to see his character be a bit more of a badass and throw down some more. Rachel Weisz was good as Melina. She's probably the character I connected to least because she comes off in this film very cold, and not really bringing much of the same warmth that we get from the other main three. But, as I alluded to in the start of my review, Black Widow is absolutely a fitting end for a hero that has paved the way for a new generation of heroes within the MCU. Now, should this have come out a few years earlier, even well before COVID? Yeah, probably. But regardless, Johansson gets a well-deserved victory lap, Shortland more than impresses in the directing chair, and Pugh has me aching to see what the mastermind Kevin Feige has in store for her next. Marvel are back, and they sure ain't messing around. I'm going to give Black Widow an 8.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Black Widow. Let me know, have you had the chance to see the film yet? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, is there a character within the MCU who has yet to receive their own stand-alone project that you would like to see stand there in the spotlight? Come on, Marvel, give me that Jimmy Woo show. You know you want to. But as always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.